Our top focus, India has decided to remain neutral in the Israel-Palestinian conflict, at least for now, even as the conflict on the ground escalated with both sides refusing to negotiate peace. Headlines today has spoken exclusively with Israel's officiating ambassador to India. The ambassador, coming down hard on Hamas, has said that at least 8% of the Israeli population was under threat from the fighting.
Israel is in the eye of a storm. Over 500 Palestinians killed. With me is Yahel Vilan, the Deputy Chief of Israeli Mission in India. Mr. Vilan, 500 Palestinians killed. There is an allegation that Israel is using disproportionate force to tackle the situation.
Look, I want to start first by saying that Israel is regretting every life of civilian or innocent people that were killed in Gaza. Israel was forced to move into this operation in Gaza by the fact that almost 2,000 rockets are launched against the Israeli population for the last 16 days. And even now when we are in Gaza, in the ground operation, rockets are still fired against Israeli civilians. Israel accepted the ceasefire proposal by Egypt already a week ago. So just imagine for yourself how many lives could have been saved if the Palestinians, if Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, would accept this ceasefire of a week ago, exactly a week ago, last Tuesday.
Yes. So what is the military aim of the objective now that your ground troops are inside Gaza, F-16s are bombing Gaza, a lot of civilians are being killed? What's the military objective?
The military objective was very clear, and it's still very clear from the very beginning. We are trying to put an end to the threat of rockets and recently of tunnels against Israeli civilians. That's very, very clear. Our Air Force and now our ground troops are targeting only military targets. None of our attacks, bombing from the air or from the ground, was never against any civilian infrastructure, buildings, population.
But it seems to be happening. A hospital has been hit, children have been killed, schools have been bombed. Is this, as many allege, an attempt to punish the Palestinians instead of just the Hamas?
I am not aware, and I can assure you there is no such thing, punishment by our military forces. I can assure you and the viewers that I don't believe there is any military in the world which is more moral than the Israeli army. We are not punishing. We are having our targets, which are, again, very punctual, very military targets. And we have to understand where we are fighting. Gaza is very populated, very condensed area. And we have an enemy which calling deliberately to the population not to leave the area. Israel issued again warning for the population. You have to move out. We don't want to kill you. We have nothing, and it's very important to mention, we have nothing to fight against the Palestinian people of Gaza.
Okay. So is the aim then to take out Hamas completely or to degrade their military capabilities? How long will your ground troops stay inside Gaza?
I will complete my previous answer. You talked about schools. We found 20 rockets inside schools. So the side who is, cynically and brutally use those places like schools, like hospitals, to send from them, to launch from them rockets, again, I think by any means they are responsible for what's going on. Now you asked me about the current operation. Again, our targets are clear. We are not aiming now at destroying completely or rooting out Hamas from Gaza. We are aiming to restore peace and to restore security for the citizens of Israel. So we are aiming at the rockets, we are aiming at launchers, which are still there in high numbers. These are numbers that, Hamas got all these rockets from countries like Iran that's supporting them against any will of the people. I think if Hamas would, just take 10% of the money they invested in these tunnels, in this, getting more and more arms, putting into education, into schools, into hospitals, into infrastructure for the well-being of the people of Gaza. We were all being a different neighborhood and different reality.
Okay. In India, the opposition wants the government to suspend military ties with the government of Israel. What would you say to those who want India to suspend ties with Israel?
I would say that we are very proud of what we achieved with India in the last 22 years of full diplomatic relations. We are also very proud and looking forward to what we can achieve in the next 20 years between Israel and India. I think our countries share much more than we are apart from each other in terms of interest, in terms of challenges, in terms of answers to these challenges. I think Israel and India are completing each other in various fields. And, I think our two countries knew in the past, I'm sure we will know also now, to focus our relations on Israel-India relations and not letting any other side effects to take us from this main route, which is to improve the relations for the benefit of our two people.
Is this hypocrisy, the way the world attacks Israel or condemns Israel or and says nothing about ISIS or other things that are happening around, and including many in India?
Well, again, I'm not going to criticize, Indian politicians. I'm a guest in this country. And yes, I think in many ways, to always pinpointing Israel for what we are doing and not, talking about the 100,000 Syrians who were killed by their own regime. And again, I think, there are many similarities between what Hamas is doing and what this ISIS or the Syrian regime or all these other, terrorist organizations around the Arab world and the Gulf and the wider Middle East are doing, because it's a very cynical use of their own population for their own targets. They don't care at all about trying to improve the lives of the people who are allegedly sent them. Yeah. I think Hamas is not representing anyone in Gaza today.
How long are these operations likely to continue?
Again, Israel expressed from the very first day. First, we did not want to go into this operation. We called Hamas from the very first, days of their launching missiles. Let's restore quiet and calmness. So we accepted the proposal by Egypt. We are willing to talk again, but one thing must be understood: we are not able to seize this operation when the entire population of Israel is still under threat of rockets and tunnels. We have, dozens of communities of people who are living quietly near the Gaza border. Can anyone imagine that we will pull out without securing these people by the tunnels that can reach, practically, literally, to their gardens, to their yards? I mean, how can anyone expect Israel to not dismantle these tunnels? I mean, it's unheard of. I think.
So it's a fight to the finish.
It's a fight for a pure self-defense by Israel. We are defending our population. I think any other country in the world, be it India or anyone else, would not bear, attack of rockets, attack of tunnels. I mean, can you imagine hundreds of tunnels under the LOC from Pakistan, entering or allowing LET or whoever to just penetrate to Indian cities around the LOC or any other border? I mean, it's unheard of. I think what we are doing should be justified by any democratic country, any peace-loving country who understands what we are doing.
And you expect India to stand by you?
I do expect India to stand by us. I think India did. I mean, we are not expecting any of our friends to always agree with us. We understand that among friends, different countries have different interests. But yes, we share, our views with India. We understand India's perspective, and yes, we are looking forward to keep our, understanding and very good and warm relation with India.
Mr. Vilan, many thanks for speaking to Headlines today.
Thank you.
So the Deputy Chief of Mission, they're very clearly saying these operations will continue till the tunnels are degraded, till Hamas's military capabilities are degraded. With cameraman Parminder Sharma in Delhi, Gaurav Sawant for Headlines Today.